The Audi TT RS. Hairdresser's car that's more style than substance, or an underrated baby supercar? Today at Wheels, we will discover the truth. Place your bets in the comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. As usual, we'll take a look at the exterior, hop inside to have a look at the interior, and then go for a drive to really get under this thing's skin. Hit the time codes below if you want to skip ahead. Now, the TT had a facelift last year, but we'll forgive you for not noticing as it was a pretty minor affair. Audi's aim with the TT RS in particular was to make it look more masculine, with these larger front air intakes, a new wing and diffuser design at the rear, and vents behind the rear wheels. Remember the original TT? It was all soft and curvy, inspired by the Bauhaus design philosophy, whereas over the years it's become sharper and more angular. Personally, I think it looks great, especially in this Kyalami green, named after a famous South African racetrack. These huge 20-inch wheels help, and thankfully Audi has filled the space behind with massive brakes. These fronts are 370mm rotors with 8 piston calipers. The 310mm rears are a little bit more apologetic, but they've still got 4 piston calipers. Tyres are 255mm wide, Pirelli P0s. The TT RS is actually a pretty small car and relatively light at 1450 kilograms. Fun fact, it's virtually the same size as the Sport Quattro from the 1980s. There's just a few millimetres in it in every direction. I do like this interior too. Got plenty of leather and Alcantara, carbon fibre here on the centre console, but it's the little design touches that really make it feel special in here. The steering wheel is basically a straight lift from the R8 supercar. Got the start button on the right, drive mode select on the left. Audi's virtual cockpit digital instruments are also really good in a car like this. Because a traditional screen would take up so much windscreen area, it's a clever way to improve visibility. Navigating them takes a bit of practice, but you can choose from traditional dials, full screen sat-nav, or a combination of the two. At first glance, there doesn't seem to be any HVAC controls in here, but they're actually here in the centre of these circular vents. Got fan speed, temperature, fan direction, and heated seats on the outer ones. Again, it's a really clever way of saving space. There are also 5 vents in here, 1 for each cylinder, so I think that's coincidental. Audi insists that the TT RS is a 2+2, but I can't really imagine what sort of human, adult or child, would fit back here. There are ISOFIX points, but it would be a pretty tight squeeze. I think you're better off dropping the rear seats and treating it as a 2-seater with a pretty sizable boot. Sadly, dropping the rear seats doesn't give you any more exhaust noise, but it still sounds pretty good. The 5-cylinder engine in the TT RS is a key part of its appeal. It produces the same 294 kilowatts and 480 newton meters as in the RS3, but because the TT is lighter, it's also quicker. Audi claims 3.7 seconds from 0 to 100, but we've previously clocked 3.57. That's pretty absurd. It's also pretty much as fast as the original R8 V10, and it kind of sounds similar too. It's the cylinder multiples of 5 that give these cars the distinctive warbly growl. This is a really, really fast car. Combine the power with all-wheel drive traction and a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, and it can be a real danger to your license. It accelerates so quickly. The previous TT RS did offer a 6-speed manual, and it was a pretty good match for the engine. But, fun fact number 2, one of the first cars to use a dual-clutch gearbox was Audi's 1985 Group B rally car, so there is a historical precedent for the paddle shift. Anyway, to answer one of our original questions, there's no way any car this potent could possibly be called a hairdresser's car. In fact, any road, any weather, there aren't too many cars this side of a Nissan GTR or Porsche 911 Turbo that are quicker point to point than a TT RS. It's agile, responding the moment you turn the steering wheel. The brakes are strong, there's masses of grip, and you never have to worry about traction. If you're ham-fisted and want to go fast, then the TT RS is about as idiot-proof as performance cars come, though it does respond well to a bit of finesse. But there are a few buts. Like Audis of old, the engine is mounted ahead of the front axle. So while an all-alloy 5-cylinder introduced in 2018 shaved 18 kilos from the front end, the weight distribution is still a decidedly unfavourable 59-41. The Quattro all-wheel drive system can supposedly send the majority of the power to the rear, but the back end never really feels that involved in proceedings. You drive to the limit of the front tyres during the corner and then use the traction on the way out. It's effective, but it doesn't have the balance or involvement of a Porsche Cayman or an Alpine A110 or even a Toyota Supra. The suspension is also too stiff, hopping over bumps, and the ride can be pretty brutal. There's also a lot of road noise. You try having a phone conversation in this thing on the highway. In truth, the TT RS certainly isn't a hairdresser's car, but it's not quite a baby supercar either. It's super fast, but its handling is a little one-dimensional compared to the latest hot hatches like the AMG A45 or potentially even Audi's new RS3. It has character though, which makes it slightly unfortunate that this is going to be the last TT. Audi has publicly said that it's instead going to be replaced by an emotive model in the same price range. That apparently is going to be an electric crossover SUV, which is fine, but it ain't this.